What's up, everybody? Three amigos and a podcast. We're kind of down to two,
Yes,
but
sir.
that's besides the point. We're back. That's what really matters.
We're here. It's
We're
been a
here.
little while.
Really, I feel kind of awkward because I'm like, I don't even know how to do this anymore. Like, I don't even know. Like, what do
Start with the basics.
Yeah, I was like, what do we start with? Like, how do I just get right into it, or?
How are you doing?
Yeah, thank you. I needed that. I'm doing good. Just living life. I got the first dose of the vaccine, so
Yeah,
getting
me
there.
too.
Yeah, you got yours today. Did you go left or right arm?
Right arm. I have my tattoo on my left arm. I was like, no, I don't want you to poke that. And they're like,
Uh,
oh, okay, it shouldn't matter. I was like, I don't want you to poke it.
I went with my non-dominant because I just
Yeah.
figured I wasn't too sore. It did get kind of sore, just like right at the point where the needle went in.
Yeah.
Like up in the shoulder a little bit. So I was just like, I don't want to have to deal with it if my
Yeah.
right arm gets a little sore. But yeah, no, it's so yeah, doing good. Do a lot of work, trying to get into gardening. I got some plants.
Yeah,
Got
it looks
some-
good, man.
Yeah, some tomatoes, zucchinis, and stuff. I picked up some like radishes and lettuce. I really want to do lettuce. I don't know why.
What kind of lettuce?
The ice, I think it's like iceberg.
For sure.
Yeah, and I got spinach too.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to try. Like, it looks cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's just like a cool plant.
Well, it's like
if
just
I-
nice stuff to have.
Yeah,
It's like, I
it's
want to,
stuff I'll eat.
and like, I feel like it would make you appreciate a salad.
Yes,
It's like,
it would.
you know,
I'm
I
definitely
did
not,
this.
I'm definitely not one to appreciate a salad
Yeah.
at all. Is so
Like, the only salad I appreciate is one that's got a lot of crunchy stuff in it.
like. You mean like crunchy lettuce or like
No, like-
croutons?
I mean, like
pine nuts?
croutons and like sunflower seeds.
Mm,
Have one with sesame sticks in it. I freaking love sesame sticks.
really?
Dude, sesame sticks are like probably one of my top 5 favorite snacks. I know
didn't
it's
expect that.
really weird, but like they actually sell them at Trader Joe's now, and I always used to get really mad. I was like, this is the only thing that Trader Joe's doesn't have. And now they sell them, and I was like, yes! Like I've legit bought like a 2-pound bag of them off Amazon before.
Of just sesame sticks.
Of just sesame
Just a
sticks.
snack on.
Mm-hmm. Because like they come in like that like or like Tex-Mex kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
Tex-Mex like mix.
Uh-huh.
And Shayla's like, you really like those, huh? I was like, those are the best. And so I started buying them by the bag.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of sesame seeds. So, like,
Yeah,
if
they
I
don't
was-
really taste like the sesame seed though. That's what's weird. Is like,
Yeah.
cause like you know that there's like it's some kind of candy I think that's like covered in sesame seeds or something like that. It's like sweet,
Okay.
and that's like overbearing. These are like they're good, but like they're salted too, so it's just like a salty snack.
Yeah, yeah. I will say I do like a pretzel stick. I haven't had a pretzel stick in a
Love
while.
pretzels. If somebody could figure out how to fit pretzels in a salad, like I'd be all about it.
I mean, I'm sure there is.
I know I've never seen
I'm
it though.
sure there's a way.
And there's the $1 million idea.
There you
Some
go.
kind of pretzel salad.
That is the Trader
I-
Joe's idea.
Dude, I dig pretzels. Like I love them.
I love pretzels.
Yeah.
Like in anything. Like the
Yeah.
peanut butter pretzels, like, you know, the little casing
Yeah.
shell things, those are delicious.
Yeah.
Chocolate covered pretzels, delicious.
Absolutely.
Like
I-
just
I'm
a
assuming
bar
you're
snack?
probably not a big fan of the cheese pretzels.
No, not a fan
Yeah.
of the cheese pretzels. I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like in cheese dust?
They kind of look like the Ritz things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I like soft pretzels with cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually
yeah.
a place down in, I want to say close to downtown. It's called like Brew in Pretzel or Pretzel and Brew, something like that. And they
Okay.
just sell beer and pretzels. And I was like, why the fuck have I never been there?
Like pretzels, yeah, beer and pretzels is a great idea. That's like one of the only times I like a Dijon mustard is like with a pretzel.
Yeah,
Pretzel
and
and a beer, they just go so well
they
together.
have like a New York style, like have a Chicago style. And I was like, I didn't realize there were so many different types of pretzels.
I didn't either.
Yeah. I'll have to show you the link
have
for it. I was
to-
like,
yeah.
this place looks, I was like, I need to go here like now.
Yeah. Plus, it's like you're drinking beer, pretzels just soak it up
Yeah.
so well. So it's like you just keep munching on
Yeah,
them.
for sure. Well, that's the thing is like, I don't like going to like the whole like restaurant brewery thing drives me nuts because I don't eat a ton when I'm drinking.
Yeah,
I just want something to snack on.
I feel it.
So it's like, that'd probably be like the perfect combo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's with your salad stuff and your gardening, that would probably be
I'm
like
gonna,
I said, nice little respect to the.
I'm gonna slide over here because I was like looking at you, but the mic stands in the way, so it's like I
For
could
sure.
only see one eye.
But yeah, I mean like different respect, like when you build shit all the time, so it's like there's you have a different respect for it when you do it with your own hands. So.
Dude, yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like I'm just excited to have like some fruits of my labor type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Work in the fields or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's fun too because it's like, well, I mean, I'm still in school and stuff, so trying to learn. But a lot of classes I'm taking, it's like stuff I already know.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not really learning. It's just like, all right, I got to check this box kind of thing.
Basically.
And with like gardening and stuff, it's like I'm learning so much. It's like something I'm actually excited to learn about now. Where I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, how do
it's tricky, huh?
You know, it's like, oh, how do these tomatoes sprout? What are these? Why do these leaves look different than these leaves? It's just like, oh, that's kind of cool. So
Powell does a lot of gardening too. Powell and Sandy, they like do their own homemade salsa in like pasta sauce.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Like, they have a pretty decent setup in their backyard for it. But it's so fresh, like every time. And like this dude's like got it out for my taste buds though, because like, you gotta try this one. I'm like, did you like smoke these enough? Because like this is some of the hottest sauce I've ever had. Like, I don't know what you put in here.
You're like, what is this pepper? This hurts.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
hurts my mouth. Fun fact that I learned is that you can't actually taste spice. So like when something's hot, it's just your taste buds under attack. It's
really?
Like the actual like pepper or whatever. It's like a poison that attacks your taste buds basically. So that's how it's like different levels of spices, like how the poison is attacking your taste buds.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I learned that. I was like, well, that's really aggressive. I figured you could taste it, but yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, how are you? How's things going?
Good, man. Starting up school here pretty shortly. I got through my orientations and all that jazz.
That's right, Sun Devils, Pac-12.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Power 5 now.
I know it's exciting to have an official school.
I will say, because like obviously, like we like sports. We do a sports podcast. We've been watching college football for forever. Always a fan, like
definitely.
Growing up when we were in high school, we loved USC. There was like that was like a school that we every time we played NCAA it was like, let's start off with USC, and it was like when they were exciting and fun and like all that kind of stuff. And I always wanted like a school, and like. Obviously, we have SDSU, but that's like Mountain West. They're kind of like an independent or whatever. And there wasn't like a conference that it was like really I could root for. And now
there was no ties, Yeah. Like it just didn't feel right. Like
it didn't feel right. And also it's like I wanted a Power 5. I wanted to be a part of a Power 5 school.
Absolutely.
Like I wanted to be a part of like a big thing. And now we are.
Yeah.
So
it's funny too, because I have that sweatshirt now. Mm-hmm. And so like, we were at the dog beach the other day and somebody's like, oh, you're a Sun Devil? And I was like, yes, I am. They're like, oh, when did you graduate? I was like, I'm still in school. Like, but thank you for telling me that I look old now. Thank you. Yep. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for that.
And then somebody commented on Trader Joe's too and like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I'm a Sun Devil too. And I was like, yeah, it's awesome. I'm like, so it's nice, man. I mean, I always forget that people in San Diego really hate people from Arizona, so I have to remember when I'm wearing it sometimes.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I mean, it's exciting to have somebody to root for. I mean, it's cool. I dig it. I really do. Herm Edwards, football coach, that's ASU. Right. Maybe they'll give us something to talk about on this podcast, and hopefully they can put together a decent program.
That, and it's like the number one, like their top basketball player. His name's Remy Martin.
Yep.
Delicious drink. The hockey star. His name's Johnny Walker. Love whiskey.
Yeah.
It's just like. It's the best. It's like, man, you guys.
All signs are pointing to ASU.
Yeah, you guys know how to party. Here we go.
Sir. And I've always liked maroon. Maroon's always been one of my big colors.
Maroon is your color.
Yeah,
I do feel sometimes when I have a maroon shirt, I'm like,
I've actually gone more to the like army green lately.
I like that color too.
It's been my new color lately. So you don't feel hesitant if you see a maroon shirt anywhere.
All right. But yeah, besides school, anything else? Anything else big?
Nah, man. We're going to Myrtle Beach at the end of next month. So we got some vacation planned.
Very nice.
That's basically it. Nothing too crazy. It's so funny. We had this conversation the other day, Shaylee and I, because one of our old friends, Ellie, that we used to work at Starbucks with, she came to our wedding. She went into Shaylee's work. She's like, "Oh my gosh, like what's new with you?" Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's good though. I like that. It's kind of like a nice little feeling right now.
This is like the 1 year where just saying nothing eventful happened to you is like awesome.
Yeah.
Like so happy for you.
Nothing's new. Like this,
Any other year, it's like, oh, what'd you do last year? Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. You guys didn't travel? No.
No.
But last year is like, what'd you do? Nothing. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
glad you weren't one of those dumbasses.
We're good. We're good. Yeah. So it's I mean, definitely, like I said, excited to get back into some schoolwork. I'm actually doing some more personal training again too. So
nice.
Yeah, gym's all set up. So finally have some clients coming back and getting some workouts in. I actually have had Shaylee working out with me lately, and she's been enjoying it, but she's physically exhausted, that's for sure.
Yeah, kicking her ass?
Yeah, definitely.
But like in the gym, not in a domestic way?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Just had to
check. We do not condone domestic violence on this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like that shouldn't be said, but you know, just in case, not trying to get big C worded. So. But yeah, all right. Well, we're here to talk sports. This is really our NFL draft special. We love the draft. I watched it every year. Always talking about it weeks out, just like everyone else involved in the sports world. And this year, it just feels a little bit special because we didn't have a lot of college games. Because, in my opinion, it's like really front loaded. A lot of other names that are in the first round, not a lot of people are going to know about.
Absolutely.
Or like sitting on. So, real interesting.
Yeah, it's something to me that is interesting this year that, we obviously didn't get into last year. I think a lot of people forget that the football season was entirely wrapped up in the 2019-2020 year. Yeah. And then it started late. You had a lot of teams that didn't play right away. The entire Division II didn't start until after Division I was completed. Yep. They only played against teams that were local. Like, there was so many rules and restrictions that were going into this, and it has been probably one of the weirdest ways I've seen mock drafts gone this year, because there's so many players that I feel like were on mock drafts, that when they do the way too early ones that fell off
at the start of the season.
Yeah, ones, so you see some players in people's mock drafts that are like the number 75 overall prospect going in the top 25. Yeah. And I think, like you said, not having as much tape on a lot of these players is going to lead to some of these players that you just never heard of before. Yep. And I really do think that you're going to see a lot of talent in that late second to fourth round of some really star-studded players.
Yeah, a lot of players that it's we're going to hear about for years to come, and a lot of those stories that not Al Davis, Collinsworth likes to talk about of this guy was in the fourth round, but so many other teams passed on him, and he's just got a real chip on his shoulder. You're like, yeah, but
and this year
it makes sense this year.
Absolutely, there's just not a lot of tape. Yeah, there's not a lot of tape, and I think
and a lot of the pro days were held on the campuses. They didn't have a collective pro day like they do a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The draft combine wasn't to get not a lot of people were together. A lot of people decided to opt out and just do it at their home field kind of thing.
Yeah. And then the whole fact of the matter is that it opened up the whole transfer portal, and it changed the way that some of these players are they opted out and opted back in. I think there's a couple players we'll see on here that were not even playing this last season that are still their name was that big 2 years ago, and they're projected to go in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I think the craziest part is we never know what's actually going on in the GM's head. People in the writer industry, they think they have this
insider,
and we see it every single year with teams and quarterbacks and all this stuff, and it's fascinating to me. And I think Shaylee always gives me a hard time because she's like, I feel like you're always more interested in the draft than you are in the actual season. It's it's exciting.
It is.
Not in the whole, first and foremost, you're watching some of these kids get up there and their whole life's about to change. Something they've worked so hard for. It's one of the most genuine things that you get to see.
Yeah.
When you see somebody that's won an MVP or a rookie of the year or something like that, they kind of know. They know where their statistics have been at. They know what the rest of the field looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But for a player coming out of college and their dream finally coming true, I'll never forget Penny from SDSU.
Yeah.
Now he didn't even think he was going to go in the first round. Just pure excitement.
Yep.
Pure excitement, and that's always cool. But then the fun part of it for me is just watching the panic moves. You know, who's going to do what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's going to freak out where?
So the team above, you thought they were going linebacker, and they went offensive lineman. Now you got to scramble to like, what are we going to do?
You know, I think some of the teams that come to my head are obviously the Raiders and the Giants, who have left very, very good talent on the table over the last decade. Yep. And it's always funny, you know, there's one draft that pops up in my head every single year, and it was the year that the Raiders drafted Darius Hayward-Bay with, I think he was rated like the number 6 wide receiver, and they drafted him in the top 10. Dude actually went on to have a good career.
A decent career.
Not a top 10 career.
No.
But he had a long career. Yeah. You know, he played for, I think, the Steelers for a little bit. He moved around, but, you know, good dude. Yeah. Played well. Obviously not worthy of the top 10 pick that they spent on him. But not a knock against the guy.
Yeah.
So it always kind of cracks me up when, like, we think we know and, like, we're looking at talent, and then somebody else is like, oh, no. We know something else.
I mean, another example is the Raiders last year. It was like they went after that DN that wasn't even ranked in the top 100 prospect list. And you're like, what did they see in this guy? Where is this guy?
It started with like an F or something.
I don't even know his name. I don't even know if he made the team.
Colin something. I can't remember.
Colin Farrell, maybe? No, that's an actor.
Yeah, but I think it kind of rhymes with that, to be honest with you. But we see it all the time. It's very entertaining, and I'll never forget the year that the Chargers got Derwin James when we went to go see Infinity War.
Yep.
And you know, I basically just went ballistic because I didn't think he was going to fall that far. So it's entertaining to say the least.
Definitely entertaining. And like you said, it's like you're watching these kids. Their whole life just changes in an instant.
Yeah.
And so actually the owner of the company I work at, he is going to the draft. He'll be there Thursday. And I was talking to him. I was like, oh, that's awesome that you get to go. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, actually one of my like friends, his son is supposed to get drafted. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, is he a first day guy, second day? Like, what are we talking? Like, what round are we going? And he's like, oh yeah, it's Trey Lance.
Oh,
I was like, are you serious? I was like, oh shit. I was like, he's like a 3rd through 7 guy. Like, you know what I mean? Or projected a lot of these places. So I was like, damn, that's so exciting. You're literally going to be there when you just see this kid's life change. Mm-hmm. Like, that's so cool to just be a part of. You know?
And like the whole after effect of, you know, they get their team, and you know, it's like, all right, we get to get excited real quick. Now we gotta go over and we gotta get to the freaking the actual stadium.
You gotta do the awkward hug with Roger Goodell. Who tries to kiss you.
You know, and then it's like, all right, well now we got Nike calling, and now we got Reebok and all these other things, and you know, everybody wants a little taste in local communities, and you know, agents on the phone nonstop. Like
Jersey sales start going.
It's exciting stuff, man. Definitely. You know, the next thing is like, oh, well, what number is he going to be? Like, oh, you know, if you had to pick right now. And it's goofy stuff. And when you've grown up in a day and age where like Madden was like the best game ever, like you feel for these kids. You know, it's exciting stuff.
You do.
That's awesome, man. Trey Lance.
Yeah. You do. You feel for him. And then also you always have the like heartbreak story of like the people falling. Like, you know what I mean? You get the Cam Newton camera shot where you're like, dude, come on, get off.
Aaron Rodgers is the one that comes to me.
Oh,
Aaron, like looking all pissed off, and then Joe Rosen, like right after he got drafted, he's like, "Oh, well, there was 7 other teams that made a mistake." I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Literally none. Not one team made a mistake when it came to you. But yeah, it's like you always get those heartbreak stories, kind of thing. But I don't really know if there's going to be a lot this year.
I mean,
we'll see.
It's so hard to tell. I mean, like you said, it's a front-loaded draft, so I don't think we're going to see a bunch of surprises. I think the biggest surprises that are going to come out are just where, like, certain offensive linemen are ranked. You know, if they think that there's a huge gap between the second and the third, and then there's not that big of a gap between the 4th and the 5th. You probably see some of these guys that, you know, they might go after some higher stouted talent before they go after an offensive lineman. I think that's the basis of what we're going to see.
Yeah. Before we get into our mock drafts, I just got to ask, where do you rank the draft in your most exciting yearly sporting events?
Ooh, top 5 for sure.
Like if you had to do like top 3, like a top 3 ranking of like your most exciting, doesn't mean the draft has to be in there.
So Super Bowl is number 1. Love the Super Bowl. Now I'd probably go World Series and then the NFL draft. Okay. The NBA Finals is so drawn out to me, and I like baseball better than basketball. So if I was more of a basketball fan, then those are like interchangeable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably say the World Series and then the NFL draft.
For me, it was opening day of baseball. That's like my favorite day of the year. Is like opening day of baseball. Is just like
I haven't had it in so long now. I'm like, I don't remember what it's like.
But still, even like watching like the Padres opening day this year, you know what I mean? Like it was on my birthday too. It just felt so awesome. Like having everyone over, like that day for sure.
Yeah.
Number 2, I battled with. Number 2 for me, it was between the Stanley Cup playoffs and March Madness, because I love March Madness. It's so much fun. So much is going on. It's madness. It's literal madness. So I'd probably go March Madness, then the Stanley Cup, and then the drafts coming in at number 4.
For sure. Super Bowl that low, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get excited for it.
Yeah.
Like
it's tough to say because like I think a lot of it is so dependent on who's playing.
And like that's the thing too, is like I never have like a dog in the race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like a horse in the race, whatever the fuck the expression is. It's like, and that was the same thing with like I was thinking about baseball, like World Series, like you said, and like I've never had that. So I'm sure if the Padres were in the World Series, that would be my most exciting day. You know, like and for the playoffs, the Stanley Cup's really the only playoff I've watched consistently every year, like all 7 games type of thing.
I think for me, the reason that I say the World Series and the Super Bowl is because it's the poetic justice aspect of it that comes in, and mostly with baseball.
Yeah.
There's always something like, whether it's the Cubs that, hadn't won a World Series since the whole Billy Goat thing, or, the Astros when they cheated, the Red Sox, there's always some aspect of like some sense of poetic justice that goes into it. And that always gets me excited. With the Super Bowl, one thing I'll tell you, like one of my least favorite times of the year is the week before the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that week in sports more than any other week ever.
Dude, me too. I like all these pointless interviews, all these analysts
over-analyzing every aspect. And it's like all it is because there's an extra week and there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah. And then you get some dumb story from some retired guy that you're like, this isn't interesting to me.
Yeah. In my opinion, like they need to figure out how to like tweak some of the sporting schedules to fit something else into that week before, because
it's do the Masters that week.
It's something, man. Like they have to do something because it drives me nuts. Like, okay, well, we don't think that this team's going to win because their flight was delayed 30 minutes, and that's going to be tough for them to rebound from. Like, what?
From 2 weeks ago, you're like, what?
Yeah. Like, remember this?
Fly on a whim.
They've played 6 night games this year, and they're 3-3, so, it's kind of a toss-up whether or not they're going to win this because it's being played at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Like, what kind of bad inter-inning statistics are these?
Just any little thing that they can put to move the stakes.
Yeah. Fuck, move the draft that way.
That would be wild. All right. Well, let's do it. We'll do our mock drafts. We'll trade off. We'll do like 1-1 type of thing.
First one we've ever done, man.
Yeah, first one we've ever done.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff. I had probably too much fun with this.
Little exciting. All right. I think the number 1 overall is unanimous. It's going to be the Jaguars taking quarterback Trevor Lawrence.
Has to be Trevor Lawrence.
That's an easy one.
Supposed to be the best, quarterback prospect we've had since Andrew Luck. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right. You want to go first?
Yeah, so number 2 pick, I picked Zach Wilson going to the Jets. I hate this pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing against Zach Wilson. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad quarterback. There's no tape on him.
Yep.
I think you were the one that told me he was bagging groceries the year before last because he wasn't sure if he was going to be on this like the starting quarterback or not. He plays in a weak conference, but for some reason, Vegas has the odds at 10,000 to or
1,000
to 1 that he's going to be the number 2 overall pick. So congratulations, Zach Wilson.
Yep, I have Zach Wilson going number 2 to the Jets as well. For all the reasons you said. Number 3 pick for me, 49ers. I don't know what the 49ers are going to do here. You heard Kyle Shanahan talking about how he's like, we like 5 guys out there. We'll see what happens. He also said, I don't know who's going to be around. I don't know if any of us will be alive then. It was like, what? You can't just say that. But I got the 49ers moving on from Jimmy G and taking quarterback Mac Jones. We'll get into this later as we talk about like the QB rankings and who gets taken where. I don't understand why they think Mac Jones would be the number 3 pick, but
yeah,
I could see them kind of moving on from Jimmy G and wanting to get a quarterback here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the most frustrating part of this for me is that Jimmy G is 1 year removed from being in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Obviously, he's had injury problems, but you already made the trade. You gave away 3 first-round draft picks, obviously including one that you had this year, 2 futures. I don't think Mac Jones is worth going up that many draft picks for, so I have Justin Fields because I think that he's the second best quarterback in the draft.
Yes.
But in this situation, I just think that for the 49ers, nobody knows what they're doing. And to be honest with you, Trey Lance could be the call at this point as well.
That's true.
So there's really not. They're going quarterback.
They're going quarterback for sure. And I'm happy that you said Justin Fields. I just went with
You want to be right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I want to be right. And also, I just went with like what the narrative is out there.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it at length of just, I do not understand why Justin Fields is ranked so low or why no one, I mean, hell, like we said, we really don't want anybody going to the Jets, but how is Justin Fields not the number 2?
Yeah. There's
how?
really like, I think that the difference between him the gap between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields isn't as wide as everybody's making it out to be. Trevor Lawrence is a stud. I don't think he's the same quarterback prospect that you saw with an Andrew Luck. I don't think that he's the same quarterback prospect that you saw with Cam Newton. I would even probably make the argument as somebody that wasn't that high on Joe Burrow last year that Trevor Lawrence probably would have gone number 2 in this draft if Joe Burrow was here.
Yeah.
I think that Trevor Lawrence still is a raw talent, and he's going to have some weapons. So I think that
he just has the body for it.
Exactly,
he's the
prototypical. But Justin Fields is not that far behind.
No,
and so
6'3", 2 something.
225, something like that.
Yeah,
I think Zach Wilson's probably 200 when he's dripping wet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it is what it is. I like I said, I hope for the 49ers' sake they're smart enough to pick Justin Fields, but I do think that they're probably going to go Mac Jones personally.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones has the resume for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not a scrub.
He's not a scrub, by any means. But also talent-wise, he's playing with the best talent in college football. I mean, there's going to be, the wide receivers he threw to. There's going to be 2 of them taken in the first round.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that just goes to show you. How good really is he? But
and they said that he fits the scheme of what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. I get it. I just it wouldn't be my personal pick.
All right, who got number 4?
Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida.
Yep, I think that's an easy one too.
I think he's probably the best prospect in this draft. I mean, outside of Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Pitts is a stud. You could probably plug him in at tight end, probably plug him in at wide receiver. With Julio Jones being on the trade block right now, this is a no-brainer.
And also just the amount of what we've seen on tape from Kyle Pitts and just how incredibly talented he is and how big of a body he is.
Yeah.
He's
a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's fast, he's tall, he's strong.
The dude ran a 4.4 at the combine.
Mm-hmm.
As a tight end. You're going to line up a linebacker on him, he's going to run right past him. You're going to line up a corner on him, and he's going to blow him up. He's a matchup nightmare. All you have to do is make sure somebody can get him the ball.
Yep. Number 5, Bengals.
Yeah, so for the 5, I have them going Penei Sewell. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but offensive lineman out of Oregon.
Okay.
What you got?
So I texted you because I was like, are we doing trades here? Right? And I think that if I'm right with Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones going 1, 2, 3, I think this spot here, the Bengals are going to make a trade with the Patriots. The Patriots are going to trade up to get Trey Lance.
Okay.
I think that would be the move that they go with.
You think they're to get in front of the Lions?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
But if not, then I have the Bengals taking wide receiver Jamar Chase.
Perfect.
So I'll go with the no trade.
Awesome.
But I just want to put it out there. So if I'm right.
Yeah, there's a couple in here that I have that are like, yeah. I did mine based off of no trades, but there's definitely a few spots in here where I feel like there's an opportunity to move back.
Yeah, I went with Ja'Marr Chase here because I feel like the Bengals, they need some more wide receiver talent, and they need to surround Joe Burrow with talent when he comes back from that injury.
For sure.
And just to make his life easier, I think that, and I think Ja'Marr Chase is the best wide receiver in this draft,
hands down.
In my opinion,
I think I actually think that the gap between him and the next best wide receiver is a lot farther than other people are claiming.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of taking offensive linemen in the top 15. I think that the talent gap that you see in the production, is this a Pro Bowl player? Is this somebody that gives up a lot of sacks? Is not drastically different between the first and the second round.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that Penei Sewell here is I feel like with Higgins and Tyler Boyd, it would be nice to get him another weapon. I just don't think with the injury history he's had and what we've seen happen with players like Andrew Luck, I feel like you have to solidify it. But I mean, Ja'Marr Chase would be a hard pass on me. Like it would be really hard to pass up.
Yeah.
Number 6, the Dolphins. I have them going Ja'Marr Chase, almost for the same exact reason. They lack more weapons than the Bengals do. Mm-hmm. They probably have the most, top. I would say the second most solidified defense in football right now, which is shocking because the Dolphins are just a couple years removed from being the worst team in football.
Yeah.
But they got to get some weapons, man. And if Tua is going to be your guy, he's got to get somebody to throw to.
Yeah. So similar to why you said you went Ja'Marr Chase, I went with where'd my list go? I lost it for a second. But I went with the Dolphins going after Jalen Waddle.
Perfect.
I mean, obviously he's dealing with that injury, or the ankle.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of missed a lot of last season, but I also think that he's the number 2 ranked wide receiver in this draft. And for all the reasons you just said about them taking Ja'Marr Chase, they need weapons.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if Tua is your guy, got to give him weapons.
Got to give him weapons. And at least in that situation, you get him a guy that he's familiar with too.
Yeah.
Number 7, I think that the Lions are begging to trade out of this pick.
Me too.
I don't think that there's if they end up picking here, I have them taking Rashawn Slater for the sole purpose that he is a fit as a need. And there's a lot of good players still left on the board. They're pretty set at wide receiver. They're pretty set on cornerbacks, which is pretty much what's at the top end of this draft. So Rashawn Slater's a stud. Northwestern, I think in this situation, with that being the best available player, I would hope that they could try to trade back in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But with what happened with the Panthers and Broncos earlier today, they ironically have the next 2 picks, so I went with Rashawn Slater.
Okay. I also had the Lions to trade. I think they should trade out of this spot for all the reasons you said. If they don't, I think they're going to go after offensive tackle Penei Sewell.
Perfect. Pretty similar on the positions that are going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, you made the trade for Jared Goff in the offseason. He's not a big mobile guy, maybe a little bit mobile, but pretty much pocket passer. Need some help around him.
Absolutely.
He's definitely not Matthew Stafford, so he's not as tough as him in my eyes. You know what I mean? So, and Matt Stafford took, I think, top 3 in the league most sacks last year. So, I think this is a good
absolutely. And if Patrick Sewell's there at number 7, I'm definitely not trading back if I'm the Lions.
Yeah.
In this specific scenario, for my situation where I had him going at 5, I think the Lions are basically begging to trade back at this point. But for your fit there, I do like that a lot. It makes perfect sense.
All right.
Number 8, I have the Panthers taking cornerback Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. Fits a need. Very talented, lengthy corner. He's probably the best cornerback, I think, in the draft this year. And they need help on the defensive side of the ball.
It's interesting you went there. I also went cornerback. I went with Caleb Farley.
Yeah.
I mean, big, lengthy dude. Can cover ground fast. I think he also ran like a 4.40 at the combine. So, you know.
Yeah, I think the only concern that you have with Farley or Fairley, I don't really know how to say his name, is the injury history. But I think he's probably a better cornerback when he's healthy than Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, and the injury you speak or you just mentioned, it was a couple years ago. He had a healthy season, since last year. But I agree. I think the Panthers here need to take a cornerback.
Yeah. Number 9, the Broncos, and because today we had them trade for Teddy Bridgewater, if I would have done this beforehand, I would have definitely had them taking a quarterback. In this situation, I would have had them taking Trey Lance. I do not have that now, so this was basically a panic pick on my end. Okay. I picked Micah Parsons. The Broncos have always had a good defense. They still have Von Miller. They still have Bradley Chubb. Micah Parsons is basically just going to shut down any other run option that any team has in the AFC West. Probably the best player available, considering that they have no need for wide receiver whatsoever. But yeah, that's prospect available. I want Micah Parsons.
All right. I went with the Broncos taking an offensive tackle, Rashawn Slater. This was also a bit of a panic pick for me. I saw Teddy Bridgewater going. I thought you need to beef up that line.
Yeah, and in my head too, it's like you can't draft a quarterback now with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater there. Mm-hmm. We saw how it happened with the Chargers back in the early 2000s with Drew Brees, Doug Flutie, and Phillip Rivers. You throw Cleo Lemon into that mix that actually ended up going on to start for the Dolphins for a season. It creates a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary at that point.
And it's not even like a competitive, environment. Like it's not, you're not breeding competition there. You're just kind of, who knows what the hell's going on. But I think that now, exactly like you said, you trade for a quarterback. You don't need to take a quarterback here, but you do need something, and I thought a tackle would fit them best.
I'm pretty certain that Slater has the ability to kick into guard too, which gives a lot more flexibility to how you want to use him. I think he is probably the best offensive lineman in the draft. Penei Sewell sat out last year. A lot of people forget that. He also plays in the Pac-12 that doesn't have a whole lot of dominant defensive ends. He's a stud. I'm not sleeping on him by any means, but I think Slater has a lot more flexibility on how you can use him.
Yeah.
Where I'm pretty certain that Sewell is just going to be a left tackle.
Yeah. I agree.
Number
10.
So this guy I have here, I have the Cowboys taking Jaycee Horn. And I don't know if there's a prospect in this draft that has gotten more hyped up than Jaycee Horn. I watched some tape on him. He's phenomenal. He's a great player. He's all over the field. The Cowboys took a wide receiver in the first round last year. They don't need a quarterback. They don't need a wide receiver. Their offensive line has got a ton of money tied up into it. Yep. They got pretty decent linebacking crew. And I know whatever his name is out of Boise, Vandal Esch is good.
Yeah.
Still got Smith out there. They need a corner. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer in this situation. You can probably make the argument for Caleb Fairley here as well.
Yeah, I was trying to find a note here that I had. But for me, we're on 10, not 11. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I also went with the same exact pick that you had with the Cowboys going after Jaycee Horn.
Nice.
Exact same reason. The same reason.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like this dude, I saw him at the bottom of the first round to the middle of the second round for a while. Now I'm seeing him in the top 10 all the time, and I'm like, huh. But yeah, he's got tape, plays in the SEC. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit smaller, I think, than some of the other corners are. But dude's a stud. Number 11, I have the Giants taking Heisman winner Devonta Smith. They need offensive weapons, man. They've used a first-round draft pick on a lineman last year. They could probably go in a plethora of different directions. I just think that if he falls to them at 11, I still I have him over Jalen Waddle technically.
Okay, yeah.
Not by choice, but by what the Giants are probably going to want out of a wide receiver. It's New York, and they like to sell jerseys.
Yeah. I don't hate that pick. I think that would be the smart move for them to do. Just and get more weapons is never a bad thing. But for me, it's the Giants. They always kind of make head-scratching decisions. So I went with defensive end Kwity Paye out of Michigan.
All right. Not a bad move, though.
Not a
bad move.
He's a little bit undersized, I think, to a couple of the other D linemen in here, but also they classify him as an edge rusher, which is not a D line, not a linebacker, kind of that hybrid role type
Melvin
thing.
Ingram.
Yeah, Melvin Ingram type thing.
He stands up sometimes.
Yeah, so I think he fits into the Giants' defensive scheme. And he's a playmaker.
Yeah.
So not a big sack guy, but he's a good tackler. And yeah, I just think that that's where they're gonna go. Number 12, Eagles.
I have the Eagles taking Jalen Waddle at this pick.
Okay.
I am tired of watching the Eagles have no wide receivers. So that's the only reason for this pick. Jalen Waddle, he's a fast wide receiver. He actually played with current quarterback since they got rid of Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurst. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like if it's the Eagles, it's a no-brainer. Go get the dude that's probably higher up on the board than 12. Rush that pick up to the front.
All right. Not mad at that pick either. And just for the same reasons why the Giants should go wide receiver, the Eagles should too. But I went with linebacker Micah Parsons.
Nice pick.
Big dude. Can lay a hit. Eagles, they have a lot of holes. They have a lot of holes everywhere. In my opinion,
it's shocking to me that they're picking 12th for how bad they are.
Yeah. And I've never been opposed to a team that's struggling, kind of going through a mini rebuild, to start with the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
So I went with Micah Parsons. 13th overall. I'll let you take this one first with the Chargers.
All right. So I have to tell you, I don't like this pick, but with the way that the board fell, I went with Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive lineman from USC. The only reason I don't like this pick is there's a few offensive linemen that I feel like are of similar talent that they can probably get in the second round. Mm-hmm. So I would hope that if this is how the board fell out, that they would make a trade, considering I still have 2 quarterbacks on the board. They need an offensive lineman and they need a cornerback. So they can either go Caleb Fairley here, but for the sake of this mock draft, I have them going offensive lineman.
Okay. I also went offensive lineman for them, but I went with Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. Don't know why I'm huge on Virginia Tech in this draft. I had 2 VTech guys going high. But in my opinion, I think Darrisaw is, top 3 offensive linemen in this draft. We've had, according to my board, we've had the other 2 go. In Rashawn Slater and Penei Sewell, or however you say it. Mm-hmm. So I think Christian Darrisaw here should be the no-brainer for the Chargers.
Perfect. For the next pick, I have the Vikings taking Jalen Phillips, defensive end. They need a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball. I think that this just probably fits the biggest need.
Okay. This is the part of my board where I started looking at it and just, I told you earlier off podcast that I got a lot of offensive linemen going. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you could get this talent later on and, you could wait on it. Mm-hmm. I don't think teams are going to wait on it in this draft. And I got the Vikings going with, the offensive lineman Elijah Vera Tucker here.
Perfect. Next pick, I have the Patriots, number 15. And since we didn't have any trades, and this is where I think he should go, I have Mac Jones at number 15 to the Patriots. And to be honest with you, this is the perfect fit for him.
I agree.
I think that if you could, pick one team that Mac Jones is going to succeed at the most, coming from Alabama and having that very structured type offense that they do, being there, learning under, why the hell can't I remember his name?
What position?
The coach.
Bill Belichick?
Bill Belichick. Having Bill Belichick there is going to get the most out of your abilities.
Yeah. Yeah. So 15 with the Patriots, I had that trade earlier. If that trade goes through, then I have the Lions moving back and going after a linebacker, Zaven Collins. I feel like that. Oh wait, not the Lions, the Bengals. I just feel like that would work with their scheme.
Yeah,
but
sure.
No trades, all that kind of stuff. I got the Patriots going after quarterback Justin Fields. If everything falls correctly.
And both those dudes, man, that would be a wonderful place for them to fall.
Justin Fields, Cam Newton already have a history. The Patriots, we saw them last year kind of change up their offense from, the decade that they had with Tom Brady being a very standard offense to now being a little bit more spread out, kind of run and gun. So I think Justin Fields fits that mold if they want to continue to work on that experiment.
Yeah. Number 16, I have the Cardinals taking Caleb Fairley at this point. Okay. I think injury concerns aside, number 16 is not much of a risk here, similar to how Derwin James fell down the board. And I think it's a steal for the Cardinals at 16, especially considering that Patrick Peterson no longer is a Cardinal.
I also went quarterback here. I went with Patrick Surtain for the Cardinals for the same exact reasons that you did. Patrick Peterson's not there. You need help in that secondary. There you go.
Perfect. Raiders, I have them taking Jeremiah Awusa, linebacker. There's another part of his last name, but I didn't even want to try to pronounce it.
Yep.
The Raiders' linebacking crew sucks. So there's a linebacker available. Probably the number 2 one in this draft outside of Michael Parsons. So run your happy ass up to the podium and make this pick.
All right. I went with the same exact pick. I battled with this. I definitely think that they need a linebacker here for the reasons you said. Went with between Jeremiah Owusu, however you say it, and Zaven Collins. But I think Jeremiah's the better linebacker in this draft.
And I think he's more of a pure linebacker. Zaven Collins, I feel like, has the ability to rush the edge a little bit better. He might be a better prospect. I think this just fills a bigger need. Number 18 is where my draft gets a little bit goofy. Right. I do not believe in drafting running backs in the first round unless your name is Saquon Barkley, but here we are. I have Travis Etienne from Clemson.
I think it's Etienne.
Etienne, okay. The Dolphins, like I said earlier, they don't need much on defense. So this is more of a luxury pick for them, considering that they already had a top 10 pick in this draft.
Yeah.
You don't bank on the fact that they're going to be there in the second round or the talent that you need is going to be there, so you go after the one.
All right. Not mad at that pick. I have a feeling that with the Dolphins' multiple pick in the first round draft, they're not going to go double offense, so I think they're going to go defense here. I got outside linebacker Azeez Ojulari. I just like drafting defensive guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm just not gonna lie or sugarcoat.
Yeah, definitely.
I like having him here. I probably should have gone with Zaven Collins. Now that I'm looking at my board, but whatever.
There's a couple I screwed up too, and I'm looking at. I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah, but that's who I'm going with here. Going with Azeez.
Sweet. Number 19, the Washington football team. Because my draft board fell this way, and there were no trades, they are getting Trey Lance.
Okay.
I don't like this pick for the sole purpose that they don't have a quarterback right now. I don't think Trey Lance is a plug and play week 1 type quarterback, but he fits their biggest need. They have a great defense, arguably the best defense in their division, to be honest with you. No, not arguably. They have the best defense in their division. If they're lucky enough to not have to trade up and Trey Lance is still there, then why not?
I went with the same exact thing for the same exact reasons. And I think that if Trey Lance is going to go in the first round anywhere, it's going to be here.
Yeah.
If not, he's fallen to like a second day, late round guy.
I think there's an opportunity for the Bears to maybe move up in front of the Dolphins in this situation, to make sure that doesn't happen. But besides that, with the picks coming behind, I don't see any other team besides the Bears and the Washington football team that would need a quarterback.
Agreed.
Which leads me to my Bears pick. This was the one guy I had falling, was Christian Darrisaw.
Okay.
Just kind of how the board fell for me. I don't necessarily dislike Darrisaw less than I like Tucker. I just think that he's more of a pure guard. Mm-hmm. That's why I had him going 20. There's not a whole lot of guards that you see in the top 15. But he's listed as an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
I just think that he's a little bit smaller and he's going to end up as a guard.
All right. I went with the Bears going wide receiver Devonta Smith.
Nice.
I just think if he's going to follow this, you know what I mean?
Well, we had two guys falling, so.
Yeah. If he's going to fall this far, everyone's projecting Devonta Smith to be the first wide receiver taken off the board, Heisman winner, all that kind of stuff. Just for me, his size isn't there. If he didn't win the Heisman and his name wasn't out there like this, I don't even think he's a first round guy in my opinion. And that's nothing.
There's small guys that have made it work, but you have to prove it, and it's just you're not first day talent.
Yeah, in my eyes, if you go in the first round, it's almost like you have to be a Pro Bowler. You have to. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a skill position guy in the first round, regardless of where you go, you have to be a Pro Bowler at some point. Like, that's just how I think of it, and I don't think he is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm not as high on Devonta Smith as I am. There's a couple wide receivers on here that I would probably have higher than him if I were the GM of a football team.
Yeah.
Number 21, I have the Colts taking Greg Newsome, as he is the best cornerback available and it fits the team's biggest need.
Okay. I have the Colts going. Like I said, my board is very defense or offensive lineman heavy. I got them going after offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins. I think if you can add another big piece to that star-studded offensive line as is, just keep it going.
Absolutely.
That is the best part of your team, and if you start to have a leak in it, fill it right away. And I think that's what they should do in this draft.
I agree. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Number 22, I have the Titans with one of the biggest steals of this draft, Rashad Bateman. I'm so high on Rashad Bateman.
Okay.
He's one of the bigger, more physical receivers. This whole receiving crew is very small.
Yes.
And there's one other dude I have on here. I think Terrence Marshall, who's probably another big dude. But they did lose Corey Davis, who showed out very well for them this season. So I think that, they have one of the better offensive lines. They have a pretty good defense. Definitely don't need any help at running back. If you can go out and get a dude opposite of Antonio Brown, why the hell not?
Yeah. This is the part of the draft for me that it was starting to be like, okay, what are the team's true need? And then what talent do we have available on the board? And like you said, the wide receiver class are small. I went the same exact pick, wide receiver Rashad Bateman. He's a big bodied wide receiver, 6'3", a 210 guy. Big, fast. I had to go with them here.
Dude, if Rashad Bateman falls out of the first round, one, the Jaguars are the luckiest team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Two, there should be like 25 teams on the phone with the Jaguars or the Jets trying to move up. This guy's special.
And like for me, this pick was it was like difficult if that was the route, or you know what I mean? It was difficult to be like, I think they need a wide receiver here. Having to look at the talent pool, seeing the rankings, Elijah Moore was ranked higher than Rashad Bateman, but I have to go big body.
Elijah
I have to.
Moore is like 5'9".
Yeah.
I went to go put him on my board because I still have a couple wide receivers left that are going in the first round, and I was like, I'm not drafting a guy that's 5'9".
I just couldn't understand because it was like, that was the spot. If you were to just go like best talent available at that position, he would be the one. Elijah Moore would be the one to take. But it's like he's too tiny,
dude. Like if you're 5'9", you have to have Tyreek Hill type skill right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Tyreek Hill was not a first round pick. Like you know what I mean? Like it's crazy to me. Yeah. But number 23, I have the Jets. This is another kind of guy I had sliding down mine a little bit. Kwity Paye, defensive end.
Okay.
They get to double dip on a couple top 15 talent.
Yeah, no, I agree. For me, when they go Zach Wilson, you got to get a guy that can protect him. I went with another offensive tackle, Landon Dickerson.
Perfect. Yeah, it makes sense. If you double down in the first draft, you're set.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Browns, who go quarterback and cornerback every time they do it. So. Never made sense to me.
Doesn't make sense.
Steelers, I have them taking Creed Humphrey. I feel like this was not.
I don't even have him.
I think I wrote down the wrong position name.
Creed Humphrey?
I definitely wrote down the wrong name.
Are you talking? The center?
No, Landon Dickerson is who I meant to write.
Okay.
Center, because they lost their center.
Okay.
I don't know how I possibly did that, but I was like, I definitely had a center here.
Okay.
So Landon Dickerson, Pouncey retired. Go get your center.
Makes sense. Thinking about that aspect of it, that was something that I missed with the Steelers with Pouncey retiring. I think that, going with center here with Creed Humphrey would probably be smart. But I went with the Steelers going after running back Najee Harris.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Connor.
James Conner's
not there anymore. And this is the part of the draft where these are luxury picks.
Yeah.
These are playoff teams. These are teams that they don't need a whole lot. And if there is one specific need that's available, go get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go get the guy that you think is going to make an impact. And Najee Harris, no knock to him. I think that he is going to be a good running back in National Football League. I do not have him in my first round. But if he's going to go anywhere, I feel like that probably makes the most sense to the Steelers.
Yeah, and his running style is a little bit different than Travis Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a little bit bigger than him too.
Yeah.
So I just think that kind of fits the Steelers style more. So that's the only reason I have Najee Harris over.
It's funny. The only reason I picked Travis Etienne over Najee Harris is because I didn't want the Dolphins doubling down on Alabama players. I was like, all right, so your entire special or your entire offense is now just Alabama. I was like, I know this is a dumb reason.
It's not a bad thing though. You know what I mean? If you have entire...
I was like, I don't want it. I don't want to do it. I have the Jaguars at number 25 taking Christian Barmore, defensive lineman. I think Calais Campbell's just getting too old, man. We've got to find a replacement.
Yeah, I went with the same exact pick. I love how some of these we're just matching up perfectly. It's dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the mess in between, but then randomly one will reset.
Very similar positions too.
Yeah,
and it's so funny because in my head I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. If a lot of it, and that's what's so funny about doing these things. It's literally how the board plays out. And there was a certain player I definitely forgot about at one point, and I had to go plug him in as we were writing. I forgot about Darisaw, and I had a different offensive lineman on here, and I was like, whoops.
I did that too. Yeah. I did
don't know how I forgot about him.
Yeah, it's that. Nope. Switched.
Browns, I have them taking cornerback Elijah Molden. I think that in this situation, they have a decent cornerback crew. Again, it's more of you don't need a wide receiver. And to be honest, I looked at a bunch of team needs, and wide receiver kept coming up for the Browns.
I don't understand.
And I don't understand it. They have plenty of wide receiver depth, unless they know something where one of these guys is going to be on the move, but I don't see it.
Yeah. For me here, I wanted to go with a secondary guy. I wanted to go with Greg Newsome or a cornerback or something like that. But I went with the Browns going defensive lineman Jalen Phillips.
That's a good pick.
It's
a great pick.
League's centered around defensive ends now.
Yeah.
You need a good rusher. So
absolutely.
I think it's a good fit.
Yeah. I think the only reason I didn't pick him was they signed Jadeveon Clowney, but it's not to say that you can't use a plethora of edge rushers.
That's
some of the you get into some of these shootouts, you need 4 edge rushers basically on the field at one time.
Yeah.
So
and when you got these guys going after the quarterback every single down, they need a rest.
Absolutely. I mean, God, we see it the freaking 49ers look like a hockey team out there.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens, this is a part of the draft that I think is going to be very interesting because the Ravens have the draft capital at this point to trade for Julio Jones. I didn't do trades, so I have them taking Terrence Marshall, wide receiver. Okay. The reason I have them going this specific guy is he's 6'3", 220 pounds. That's it. He's a big-bodied dude. They already have Hollywood Brown, who's a shorter guy. They need somebody that can go over the middle. They need more wide receiver depth. They have 2 picks in the first round, if they don't finish tomorrow with a wide receiver, that's a problem.
All right. I went with the Ravens going after safety Trayvon Moehrig. They need more help in the secondary. That was a big hole for them last year. Their defense fell apart in the back half of the season. So I think that this is just a place that they need to just beef up their defense.
Yeah, Trayvon Moore is a good player too. I actually have him going next pick 28 to the Saints.
Okay.
Marcus Williams is a good player. I just think that Moehrig, when I was looking up some stuff on him, he has a little bit more ability to flex in and out of like more of a like honey badger type athlete.
Yeah. Like a true free safety.
Yeah, and the Saints, man, like their defense looks so good on paper, but God, do they get in some games that they just look like shit. So any kind of, I was going defense no matter what for the Saints.
I went with the same thing. This one was a little bit of like the Saints kind of have a homely feel to me. Mm-hmm. Like, just like they like to do things like, bring the same names kind of thing. So I want them going after cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. I definitely think that Asante Samuel Jr. needs to go in the first round. He's a great talent. I can just see the Saints wanting that extra flair and flash.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, you need 3 good corners on your team. Yeah. We always talk about, there needs to be 3 good wide receivers. Shit, there needs to be 3 good corners then. Mm-hmm. You can't have one of your corners not have the ability to either play the zone or play man-to-man.
Yeah.
With the 29th pick, I have the Packers taking Kadarius Toney from Florida. He's a smaller dude, but I'm so tired of watching the Packers pass on talent for Aaron Rodgers. It's not to say that Marquez Scantling is a bad wide receiver. Any other dudes there aren't. But you pair this guy opposite of Devontae Adams, he might put up 1,000 yards. This dude's fast as fuck.
Yeah.
All those Florida guys, man. Yeah. All those Florida guys.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick. I went with wide receiver. I went with Elijah Moore.
Yeah. Same concept.
I think 100% the Packers have to get one of the wide receiver talent. Yeah. Like a wide receiver has to get
There's too many of them.
If they don't, then that is the biggest, Aaron Rodgers, we don't give a shit about you.
Yeah. And you might, he's not going to resign. I feel like that's one of the things, the conversations you've seen is there hasn't been any conversations with Aaron Rodgers. Because he wants to know if you're going to help his ass out.
Yeah. Are you
Last year, you traded up to draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. And if they don't get a wide receiver, we just found our new host of Jeopardy. That's a fact. Number 30th, the Bills. I got them going defensive end. I got them going Gregory Rousseau.
Shit, I forgot about him. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. I have the Bills taking Najee Harris here. I forgot I did have him in my first round. It was just not scrolled down all the way. It's a luxury pick. Mm-hmm. They got what's his name? He was hurt last year for a little bit. Singletary?
Oh yeah. Devin Singletary.
He's good. Najee Harris, I feel like gives him a better 1-2 punch.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, I just think Gregory Rousseau, ton of sacks last year. Likes to break up the ball. Huge guy. Coming out of Miami. Gotta go. Gotta take him.
I did have a different player on here, but now I have it was a defensive end. So now I have the Ravens taking Gregory Rousseau.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a different one on there. It's good now. That's the guy out of Miami. He's probably a top 10 talent. He opted out last year though, right?
I don't think. No.
He didn't. He fell off the boards a lot for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But I saw him on top 10 for a lot. He's a good talent. The Ravens lost one of their key defensive ends in free agency, so I feel like any edge rusher at this point is great.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to look up Gregory Rousseau real quick to see if he opted out last year.
I don't know if he did or not.
Oh, he did because that would have been the 2020 season, right? Yeah. So he did. He did. So that makes sense why he's fallen a little bit. Okay. But I mean, huge guy. He's just a big guy.
Yeah.
I have the Ravens. Ravens taking wide receiver Terrence Marshall.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
literally picked him with the 27th pick with the Ravens.
Yeah. So for the exact same reasons you said why the Ravens needed a wide receiver earlier, they need it here. Terrence Marshall, huge guy. I would put him higher on the list for me out of wide receiver talent, but because of how football's evolving and everything, I got him falling to 31.
Sweet.
Last pick of the draft, Buccaneers.
I have them taking Asante Samuel Jr. I think I like Asante Samuel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his dad. Yeah. I think the skill set's pretty similar to what his dad did. I think if in the Bucs in this situation, they're returning 22 starters. That means literally their entire offensive, defensive side of the ball are coming back after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's insane.
That's insane.
So I think that you can take a little bit of a, because there's probably like a late first, second round grade on Asante Samuel Jr. right now. But this dude could come in and play the slot right away. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit smaller, but the dude can ball.
Yeah. I have the Buccaneers taking a cornerback too. I just got Greg Newsome Jr. coming in here.
Yeah.
Similar guy.
Literally, it's like you just go out there and you take the sexiest pick possible, like the best player available, and obviously the way you don't need any wide receivers.
Yep.
I think the one argument that you might make here, maybe a running back in this situation, just
yeah,
I don't think Leonard Fournette.
He's still there.
Is he there? Yeah. Okay, for sure. So I mean, like you could.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're not taking a quarterback. But I think Asante Samuel Jr. if he's there, why the hell not?
Well, I just think a cornerback in any sense, you know what I mean? Like
it never hurts to have more.
Like their defense was so good last year, and depth is always a need. Yeah. So even if like one of these guys that if they go Asante Samuel, Greg Newsome, whoever they go with, it's like it's still a guy that you're gonna need to put out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, man, I think a lot of this, obviously, that wraps up all of our picks. We have Kansas City, Houston, the Rams, Los Angeles, and Seattle, the 4 teams without a first-round pick. I don't see Kansas City looking to trade back up. I don't think Houston has the draft capital, nor does Seattle, nor does the Rams, really. I mean, the Rams, I feel like this is like the 6th year in a row they haven't had a first-round draft pick.
Dude, Sean McVay has said he does not think the draft is beneficial. He would rather go out and get talent that he's already seen than talent that he could mold into.
I feel like it's a dangerous way.
It's such a dangerous game to play. Like, so dangerous.
I'm
not a fan of it. I don't agree with it at all.
I understand teams that constantly finish in like the bottom, 6 or 7 picks trading out. But to not have draft capital is more than just getting talented players like Jalen Ramsey or Matt Stafford or Cooks,
Yeah.
Like there's another guy that they traded for as well. But it's about getting quality depth at positions that you might already have solidified. And when you don't have first-round draft picks and you don't have the ability to trade back into the upper part of that second round, then you lose the ability to get the talent that is molding the NFL.
And plus, it not only that, but it helps you with cap flexibility.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not always having to invest in these guys that have been in the league for a while.
Preset salary in the draft. Yeah, dude. I feel like it's very irresponsible.
Yeah.
Like, very irresponsible. And considering the Rams are 3 years now removed from a Super Bowl appearance that they lost, you no longer have the QB that was on your team. You no longer have the running back that was on your team. Like, sure, you probably have 2 of the best defenders in football, but this is an offensive-powered league now.
Yeah.
You have good players, but how does free agency work? It's capitalism.
Yeah.
They go to the highest bidder.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 2 talented wide receivers, eventually one of those dudes is going to want to get paid more.
And not only that, but they're going to leave if you have nobody to get them the ball.
Yeah. And my other part of that, too, is like when you're constantly trading out of the first round before the year even starts, you end up in a situation like Houston.
Yeah.
Houston probably thought they were giving away a number 20 pick or something like that. And they ended up giving away the number 6 pick in the draft. Or no, number 3 pick in the draft.
Number 3 pick in the draft. A draft pick that could change your organization.
Yeah. And it's dangerous when those players that you have get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen it year in and year out. And the same thing that could be said with Seattle. I mean, you have 3 picks in this draft.
Yeah. Like
3.
you're basically gonna make no adjustments from your last year to this year. And you can't. Like there's just nothing that you're adding to the team that's gonna benefit you.
And then the biggest sucker in this is Houston. They don't have a pick until the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And they finished as the 3rd worst team in football. Your quarterback wants out.
Mm-hmm.
You already got rid of J.J. Watt. You already got rid of last year freaking DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like, how are you guys running a team? Like Kansas City traded their first round pick for a good offensive tackle.
Yeah.
That's fine.
A need that they
lost an offensive tackle.
Something that they needed that they knew they would not be able to get from this draft.
Yeah. They knew that talent wasn't going to be available to them at 31. Yeah. So they went out and got something that was similar to it.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It doesn't make any sense, but
it is what it is. But that's our mock draft.
That's our mock draft. Super excited about it. So glad we did it. I mean, even if we don't do the podcast anymore, I want to do a mock draft every year.
Yeah, dude. I had way too much fun with this.
It was so much fun.
Way too much fun.
I just want to, and I can't wait. Draft is tomorrow. I can't wait to just go by my draft board when they're getting picked to see how many I get right or how many I get wrong. It'll just be a fun time overall.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, if you stuck with us the entirety of this podcast and listen to all of our draft picks, then go put some money down because you're going to win big. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for listening. We're trying to get back into it, and we're trying to, churn out podcasts. So hopefully we're back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all right, everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll see you.
See ya.